Hey everyone, Derek here with DNR Customs. Today we're going to walk you through a 5th gen Tappet conversion kit from Hamilton CUMMINS. I have Brad here as one of our head technicians at DNR helping me out so we can get this done rather quickly. As you can see in front of me, we have a low mileage 2020 bone stock engine that we picked up. Kind of just had it sitting on the shelf, and we have a customer that's in need of this thing in the next couple weeks, so we thought we'd take this time to get this engine prepped so it'll speed up our process when the truck comes and be able to show you guys this great new kit that Hamilton's offering and kind of some tips and tricks that we found along the way to get this done in a timely and an effective manner. Just to back up a second, just in 2019, Cummins decided to get away from the tried and true Tappet that they've been running since 1989 and all the B series Cummins, the pickup engines, and move into a hydraulic roller lifter setup in 2019. At first, I'm sure it seemed like a great idea. The engines were a lot quieter, that, but what we've seen throughout the industry, dealerships, it's a known failure, and I'm pretty certain they're just hoping to get these things out of warranty and not have to worry about it again. So our good friends at Hamilton CUMMINS seen this issue very early on, and they developed a kit to basically take this thing back to the good old days of running a flat Tappet. And we'll walk over to the bench here and show you what the kit kind of consists of. All right, as you can see here, we took the liberty of unboxing the kit yesterday just to get it kind of all laid out and preps for what we had going on today. I do want to start off with this kit is 49 state legal. It is not for sale in California. And we'll start over here with the camshaft that's included in the kit. Is a 178-208 grind. This cam's been used for many years in many different applications, from a bone stock truck all the way to, we've used them in 1,500 horsepower sled pulling, drag race applications. Just a great overall grind. Here we have 12 new push rods, because obviously the 5th gens do not have adjustable valve train, so we had to go with a different length push rod to accommodate that. We have a full new set of adjustable rockers, which are very nice, high quality, and we've even included some DLC coated trunnions. So you may think, well, factory doesn't have DLC coating, but as a shop, we've seen a ton of trucks come in, high mileage, over 100,000. The trunnions are all scuffed up, the rockers barely move. So this DLC coating should add just pretty much, an endless lifespan of use without issue. And then the real meat and potatoes here is the Tappets that Hamilton's come up with. You can see here it's pretty overall beefy design, because obviously we have to utilize the size of the factory bore of how this lifter goes in. So your factory 5th gen lifter here, then the replacement Tappet here. So we have 12 of those ready to go, all DLC coated. That is pretty much covers the majority of the kit itself. Now we'll get back to the engine and kind of go over what we're going to do there and show you guys kind of a not so much a step-by-step process, but we're going to kind of run through the engine, get a lot of it torn down, and once we get to the important steps of the lifter extraction, how we hold them up, how we drop them into the tray, we'll kind of break that down and what we feel is the most effective method, and kind of go from there. All right, so today we're going to be showing you some key steps in getting this Hamilton Tappet conversion kit done in a timely and effective manner, along with showing you some tips and tricks that we found helpful on the jobs that we've done. We will be using our DNR Customs install kit, and we'll go over some of the steps on that as we're using it and why we've come up with a kit to help get this job done, instead of having to purchase a very expensive kit that still doesn't really give us an end-to-end process in getting this done. As the saying goes, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. We kind of choose to do these jobs. We like to raise the cabs up, as the front of the 5th gen is just overall complicated. There's a lot going on. I do know guys are doing it that way. More power to you. Like I said, you can pretty much whatever you want to do. It doesn't really going to change the process in which we do the actual job. Whether or not the engine's still in the truck, it's just going to be more difficult with the engine in the truck and the cab down, getting to these back cylinders. So kind of follow along with what we're going to do here. Is this isn't going to be like a step-by-step you know, torque this bolt to this process, you know, this spec. It's going to be more of a long, like, get this thing torn down and show you when we get to the key components of pulling the cam out, dialing the lifters, getting all that stuff all done. That's what we'll kind of break down and show you those steps. All right, as you can see here, we got the valve cover off, rocker box, the factory valve train, all that stuff out of the way. Front cover exposed. We already pulled the 213 mils to be able to get the cam out. So we're gonna use the kit that we offer. We're gonna start by trying to extract the factory lifters. So we're gonna grab one of our magnets here. One of these guys clamp, and we're just going to get to it. So we're going to get down in there. Makes it easier if you got a little pocket flashlight. You can pretty much stand right over, get these guys right down in there, and take a look at where you're going. And I'm in the first one. I already feel it pulling right up to where it stops, and we'll just use our clamp to get in here and pull it up. Clamp it and push down a little bit so that way it's resting all the way, and it kind of keeps it right at the very top. And we're just going to go through and pretty much repeat that process for the next 11 of them, and we'll ensure that all of them are all the way up, and then we'll be ready to pull the cam. As you can see here, we got our extraction magnets in, we got the lifter all the way pulled up, we got our little clamps holding them all the way. We've already went through and checked. So again, as you were kind of watching us do that, like, I like to have a flashlight and, you know, kind of hold it in my mouth and look down in there, or you could just do the jam in method until you feel it go. And going back to why we do the cab, why we like to have the cab up when we do this, we can literally be standing up on the frame rail or up on the engine, looking down, and it's just much easier. Once you get comfortable getting the cab up, if you can't, it's just going to make this process just a little bit longer. So all these are up, ready to go, and we are going to just move into getting the cam out and then getting our tray in and getting these bad boys out of this engine. So we're pretty much ready to pull this cam out. We've already taken the engine, we roll it to absolute TDC by aligning the marks here. This allows you access to get to the 213 mils to be able to pull the cam out, and then this will be your basically your guideline when you go put the cam back in, and further along when you go to set valve lash, etc. So we'll go ahead and get this cam out of here and get the tray slapped in. All right, as you can see, we were able to get the cam out. Cam's stood up over here, got our tray in. Didn't hear any of the factory lifters drop down and hit the oil pan, so that was a good thing. So our magnets did the job. We still have them held up. Now would be a good time to possibly inspect your gasket here. This is a known failure point on the Cummins going back, I mean, all the years. It's just a failure point. So on the newer ones, the guys don't change their crankcase filter, and the motor can't breathe, ends up sucking the gasket in because they're sometimes right here, or it's just a manufacturer defect, it's blown out. So this is the time that you're going to decide the health of this gasket. We've already looked at this one. It's really low mileage. It looks really good, but now would be the time to do it if you need to be. You know, you can pull the CP4 for the CP3 converter to get that out of the way, pull the cover off and do that. It's going to add probably an extra hour or two of time to the job, but well worth it if it needs to be done. And you know, like I said, you just have to make the call when you guys are doing the job. So now we're going to we're ready to drop the tappets in, or not the tappets, but the lifters, I mean, back into the tray and pull them out and kind of begin the prep process to start putting this thing back together. All right, as you can see here, we got all 12 of the factory lifters out successfully. None hit the pan. Everything went really good. So there's two parts to the inherent flaw of this lifter that we've seen. So one part is the actual hydraulic portion. You get a collapsed lifter, the trucks will start ticking real bad. And then there's the other failure point is the actual roller itself. And I'll kind of come in here and you can see these factory lifters are keyed, okay? So there's little slots in the block for them to run up and down. Well, the problem is that we've seen and we've heard is there's, a little bit of casting flaws, casting variations of how this gets keyed in there. And then you have, it's really hard to see, but it is very, very small, the protrusion that this is. So what's happening is the lifter itself over time can walk one way or the other. And what happens is once it starts to twist a little bit in the bore, it starts to ride sideways on the camshaft and ultimately, can have a failure that way as well. Also, if you noticed on the roller here, if you side load it one way, meaning you put pressure on it, so that way if this thing turns one way and it side loads, you'll notice that it does not roll anymore. So what this isn't going to do, it's not going to roll because it's under a lot of pressure, and it's just going to ultimately just start to fail, wear a flat spot in here, start wearing out the cam, and it's all bad. If you push it the other way, you're good. So again, there's two different ways that, this thing can fail. Hydraulically, which, is here, or here on the cam surface as well. And another thing to note, when you pull these out, depending on how many miles it has, etc., you need to pay attention to scuffing on the lifter. This motor has 34,000 miles on it. Believe it or not, the oil's in good shape. It's in really good shape. There's minimal scuffing on here as well. If you're in what I would call a catastrophic failure where, this thing went all bad, so now you're looking at doing this kit and your lifters are really scuffed, you might be in a different situation and this engine might have to come out, get flipped upside down, get in there and be actual hone the lifter bores, etc., whatever you need to do. So not all of it's, cut and dry. That's why we're doing this one preventively, so that way this customer can enjoy this engine for a lot of years. There's been some very rare cases that we've heard on some early 2019 stuff that there's a casting flaw where where we need to suck the tappet back up into. If that's the case, the engine will need to come out. We've only heard of a few rare cases, but just make note, if you can't get that tappet all the way up when we're going to put the cam in, there's an issue. You're going to have to get the engine out. If it's not something you want to do, Hamilton Cams has agreed to refund the person on the purchase of their kit if they want to go a different way and maybe just put it back to factory. So right now we're going to essentially start prepping for install. We need to get the cam gear swapped around onto the new cam, get the front cover cleaned up a little bit, and then start pulling the new tappets back up in and kind of repeat the process. So we'll kind of go through a couple steps and what's needed and go from there. Good. All right, so we're pretty much ready. We're going to get the old cam gear off and kind of show you that little process there. You'll need a press of some sort, or if you don't have access to a press, I'm sure you could probably find one of these, purchase one, and then the keyway to be able to do it. You'll need the retainer as well. So you might, a lot of guys in question, you'll see this little spring tooth deal that they added onto the gear, to this cam gear. So it's not found in all of the 5th gens that we've heard of so far. So basically they put this on here to try to just limit some of the backlash and the noise that you get from the gear train in the front. So we've heard, I haven't seen one yet, but I've heard like cabin chassis trucks, they don't have them on there just because they feel those things are loud anyway and it's not on there. So really, if yours has this gear or this little spring deal to take up the backlash, it really won't matter. So don't freak out if yours has it or not. Just make sure, you'll see the 2 little dots here. That's your indicator for when it has to go back into the, line up the mark on the crank. So yeah, we'll get this thing over to the press and get this thing going. All right, so cam gear's all pressed on, ready to go. In a normal application, you can just put this thing in, you're done. I just, coming from the racing background, we tend to weld. We put like a little stitch weld on each side to make to the gear, to the cam. I'm gonna do it on this one. It does not need it. at factory would be fine, but just kind of a habit that we like to do. All right, so we're back over here, pretty much getting ready to do the install and everything. We got our Lucas assembly lube. It's, doesn't really matter what kind of assembly lube you use. We like this stuff. It works really good. Just make sure that camshaft's lubed really well, and your new tappets have some decent lube on them. We've used trans gel on here as well, just to kind of help hold them in. But with the magnet design, either one works. I'll probably end up just using the Lucas lube on the lifter itself, and we'll get this thing get ready to get it in there. You're going to want to send the magnet all the way down to the bottom and then just pick it up just a little bit while somebody's pushing that in, and he keeps steady pressure, and you see how it just rotates right in, the magnet falls in there, and then literally you pull it up and then you hold it. All right, as you're kind of watching along, you can kind of see the method that we end up doing. So we got all 12 of them in. We feel that they're all the way up. They felt really good. So what I like to do is kind of have the magnet a little bit longer, get it down into the bottom of the tray, pick it up just a little bit, and then have, it kind of takes a little bit of teamwork. Have your other guy pushing and try to get it in there just right. And once you have it up, I like to compress the magnet almost all the way down to where the step is in the magnet, and then use the little hold tool to hold it. And you'll get a feel for it. The first couple might be a little bit tricky, but just a little communication with the guy that you're working with on it, and it actually goes really well. All these pulled up really, really smooth into the bore, so we feel really good about it. And then you'll want to you can look through the bore, make sure they're all the way up. Another good rule of thumb is maybe just taking your tray, picking the back end of it up, putting some pressure in there, so that way you know when you go to slip the cam in, you won't have any issues. All right, so we got the cam here all lubed up, ready to go in. Really, there's no special technique to this other than grab a little bit of patience and just start working it in there and trying to keep the cam as level as you can with whatever plane the engine's on. And then at the last very step, you got to make sure that the marks are lined up on your crank gear. All right, so cam went in pretty smooth. We got our retainer all bolted back in, checked all the bolts in the front cover. We like to put a little dab of red Loctite on the retainer bolts just because we don't want it to come out. Everything felt good going in, so now's the time that you'll just start trusting in the process here, that you pull your magnets out and let the tappets fall back right up and rest on the cam. So, and then what we'll do is we'll just kind of start to put this thing back together. Front cover is clean and prepped. There is no gasket for the front. Everything gets RTV'd back on and then torqued. We got our wear sleeve in, new sleeve in the front cover. So we'll get putting this thing back together, and then we'll kind of talk about the adjustable valve train when we get to that point. All right, got the cover here ready to go. Got it all. Like I said, there's no gasket. Just use Permatex or good RTV, and got your sleeve here to help you guide over that. And we'll just get this on. And again, it's not variant. You can work around it, but it's much easier if you get the motor to absolute TDC. So that way, when you go set your valve lash, you don't really have to guess which side you're on. Okay, so we're over here getting ready to do the rockers. So what you're going to do is, from your existing rockers that were on there, you're still going to use the pedestals. All that stuff's the same, and you're going to use the bridges that were on the engine from factory. There's no difference from the inception of the 24 valve in 1998. So we're going to go ahead and just dab a little bit of oil on here and get this set, and we're going to set valve lash, we'll we'll install everything. We're going to stick to the tried and true 10 thousandths on the intake and 20 thousandths on the exhaust. The motor's already at TDC, so we'll do the one procedure and then rotate it 360 degrees and do the backside. All right, so we got the rockers all on. We got valve lash set at 10 and 20, 10 intake, 20 exhaust. We're pretty much ready to go. We kind of put some oil, pre-lubed everything. And talking about oil, you can go back to a traditional 1540. Granted, you're in the proper climate for, that type of oil. We're gonna just stick with the suggestion of Cummins and suggest the Valvoline Premium Blue 1540. There's all kinds of different oils. Just make sure, anything sold these days is good oil. Just change it frequent and you probably shouldn't have an issue. As far as break-in, this thing's ready to fire up, get up to operating temperature. There's many different ways, guys think about breaking in the cam. Just follow what you know. We'll probably take this thing up to about 1,300 RPMs for 5-10 minutes, make sure everything's good, make sure there's no leaks, and pretty much be ready to go. Other than that, thanks for watching, and any questions, like I said, feel free to shoot us an email, call the shop. We are stocking these kits. We have all of our install kits ready to go, and if you like these videos, let us know, and we'd be glad to shoot some more for you guys.